Hey lovelies! So last week I asked you guys what kinds of recipes you want to see on the channel now that the summer months have arrived. And we got all sorts of great responses. You guys asked for low carb recipes, no cook recipes, you wanted some light and fresh recipes, and you also asked for vegan recipes. So today, your wish is my command, and I'm actually bringing you recipes that check all of those boxes. They're low carb, they're vegan, they're no cook, and they are definitely light and fresh, and they all include oodles and oodles of zoodles. Zucchini noodles, if you're not familiar. We're gonna start today's video with this amazing Thai almond crunch salad. I love this because it can be eaten for either lunch or dinner, and it is really simple to prepare. We're gonna start with one of my new favorite dressings, and the base of it is some almond butter. I'm using smooth, natural almond butter. You could also use crunchy if you wanna add even more great texture to this. Then I'm going to add a little bit of agave syrup to that for some sweetness. I've got a little bit of freshly grated ginger headed in here, and I'm also going to grate in some garlic. Now, I like grating my garlic in a recipe like this. If you use minced garlic, you always run that risk of someone getting like a nice chunk of garlic in their mouth. It's not as delicious. And then for my final ingredient, I have got the juice of 2 limes. So you have to love a dressing like this. It's creamy thanks to that almond butter. It's tart with this lime juice. Nice balance with all the flavors. You could also add a little heat here with some red chili flakes. That would be super good as well. Then I'm just gonna whisk this all together and we can get to work on assembling our salad. Now, as I mentioned, all 3 of today's recipes involve some zucchini noodles, or zoodles if you will. Now, some supermarkets actually are selling zucchini noodles now in the produce section, already spiralized, which is super handy. But if you want to do it yourself, no problem at all. I actually use just a julienne peeler to get these nice, thin julienne noodles. I use the very same peeler to get my carrots julienne. You can see they're nice, thin ribbons. And then I also just use a sharp knife to finely chop some red cabbage. So as you can see, we've got a ton of color in here as well as a ton of great crunch. I'm just going to pour my dressing over this and give it a good toss until it's well coated. Then I will plate it up with a little bit of fresh mint, some fresh cilantro, and some nice crunchy slivered almonds. So nutritious, so incredibly delicious. If you wanted to pump up the protein factor here, you definitely could with a little bit of cooked salmon or shrimp, or even some tofu marinated in that dressing would also be really, really yummy. Next up, I've got a super flavorful and super summery dish, my pesto zoodles. This all starts with a really simple pesto sauce that I'm going to be blending up in my food processor. Now, some of you might not know this, but pesto traditionally comes with Parmesan cheese, which isn't actually vegan. So we're going to be making a vegan version of pesto sauce that everyone can enjoy. It all starts with some gorgeous fresh basil. Now, basil is available in abundance this time of year, super affordable, and can even be grown in your own home, which I love. Then I've got some pine nuts headed in here, which gives our pesto some body, as well as some garlic, which of course gives our pesto lots and lots of flavor. And then instead of using Parmesan cheese in this recipe for that savory flavor, we're going to be using a combination of miso paste and some nutritional yeast, which is really common in vegan cooking. It has a bit of a cheesy sort of savory flavor, so it's a perfect substitution for something like Parmesan. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt and some pepper, of course, and then get the lid on my food processor and start blending it up. As it's blending, I'm going to slowly drizzle in my olive oil until I create a really gorgeous texture. And then, somewhere around this part of the process, you will realize that you forgot to add your lemon juice and have to go back and add it. I knew something was missing, just a bit of acidity to balance out all of that savoriness. Now that it's ready, we can bring everything together. So I've got my zucchini noodles in my bowl. To that, I'm also going to be adding some summer squash that I've julienne. If you can't find summer squash, no problem at all. Just use more zucchini noodles here, but I really do like that combination of the green and the yellow. Then I'm going to pour on this amazing pesto. Can you believe how gorgeous that color is? And then I will serve it up with some fresh tomatoes and a little more basil for good measure. Guys, I guarantee you're going to be impresto by how tasty this vegan pesto is. Finally on today's menu, we are making a tangled miso salad that makes me so happy. Just so happy. It all starts by mixing up our dressing. I'm starting with a little rice vinegar in my bowl. To that, I'm adding a splash of sesame oil. I've got some soy sauce, a little bit of agave for sweetness, and the real secret to making this dressing something special is some miso paste. You can sort of mix it into dressings and it dissolves, and it just adds amazing flavor. Once we've got all of that yumminess mixed up, we can set it aside and get to work on building our tangled salad. So the base for this salad, once again, are our zoodles. As you can see, I've got oodles of zoodles in my bowl. I use my handy julienne peeler to get my carrots nice and julienned as well. I've got some very finely chopped red bell pepper headed in here, as well as some snow peas that I've just cut in half. I'll pour my dressing over top and give everything a good toss so it's well coated. And for my final ingredient, I've got some cilantro headed in here for even more great freshness. As you can see, loads of color, loads of crunch, loads of great nutrition. This can be served right away or stored in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days. I personally believe the longer it sits in that amazing miso dressing, the more delicious it becomes. I like serving it up with some sesame seeds and some finely chopped green onion for even more great flavor. And you have got a dish you can get real excited about. And there you go, guys, 3 delicious dishes. All of them are no cook, light and fresh, low carb, and totally vegan. Like I said, your wish is my command. I hope you'll give all 3 tasty dishes a try, and if you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo, because I always love seeing your kitchen creations. Keep in mind, all 3 of these yummy recipes are being featured on healthymealplans.com. If you're not familiar, it's our awesome meal planning site that allows you to browse through hundreds of recipes, plan your meals for the week, and then generate a shopping list that you can take right to the grocery store. What is not to love? I hope you guys will give it a try, and of course, if you've been using it for any length of time, I want to know how it's going. How has it changed your weekly meal planning? Leave the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more summery deliciousness where this came from.